gotta come.
Yeah.
All right. You're here to the left.
Thank you.
To the right. There's nothing political in that, Secretary.
No.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Before I begin, I want to begin by offering Canada and Canadians' heartfelt condolences to all of those who were impacted by the devastating earthquake which struck the southern Philippines on Monday. Our thoughts are with the families who have lost loved ones, those who have been injured or displaced, and the communities now facing the very difficult task of rebuilding. We remember the resilience and the determination, Secretary, of the Filipino people, which they demonstrated in the aftermath of Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. We know that same strength will carry communities forward once again in the difficult, very difficult days ahead. So please pass on our sincerest condolences and support. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here alongside the Philippine Secretary of National Defense, Gilberto Teodoro. I had the honor of visiting Secretary Teodoro in Manila last year, and today it is my privilege to welcome him to Ottawa for his first official visit to Canada. Canada and the Philippines share an enduring friendship spanning more than 75 years. Our countries are connected not only through strong diplomatic ties, but through the people, families, and communities who help strengthen the bond between our nations every single day. Our defense relationship is rooted in a shared commitment to democracy, the rule of law, and a free, open, and stable Indo-Pacific. In today's increasingly complex security environment, partnerships like ours are more important than ever, and the Secretary and I had a good opportunity to exchange both privately and bilaterally with our teams for the last hour or more. And that's why, of course, I'm pleased to announce that today Secretary Teodoro and I have just signed a statement of intent to strengthen defense cooperation between Canada and the Philippines. And as part of that commitment, we also signed a mutual logistics support arrangement, which will allow our countries to provide logistical support to one another during important military exercises, training activities, and operations. Together, these agreements build on the Status of Visiting Forces Agreement, or SOFA, that Secretary Teodoro and I signed in Manila last November. And as Canada's first such agreement in the Indo-Pacific, the SOFA will allow our armed forces to train, exercise, and operate together more effectively once it enters into force. These agreements reflect the momentum of a growing and important defense partnership. Last October, members of the Royal Canadian Navy participated in exercise Sama-Sama alongside the Philippines and other international partners. Earlier this year, Canada also participated in exercise Balikatan for the first time, with some 450 members of the Canadian Armed Forces participating. Our Canadian Armed Forces personnel trained alongside partners including Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and the Philippines across sea, land, air, and cyber domains. This cooperation strengthens trust, it improves interoperability, and it ensures that we are better prepared to respond together when challenges arise. As outlined, Mr. Secretary, in our Indo-Pacific strategy, Canada remains committed to supporting peace, security, and stability throughout the region. That includes support for a maritime order grounded in international law, where disputes are resolved peacefully and the rights of all states are respected. As we approach the 10th anniversary of the 2016 South China Sea Arbitral Tribunal ruling, Canada will continue working alongside the Philippines and ASEAN partners to promote respect for the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Our partnership, of course, extends well beyond defense and security. Canada and the Philippines are also deepening our economic ties, including through ongoing free trade negotiations that will create new opportunities for workers, for businesses, and investors in both countries. After all, Mr. Secretary, 1 in 40 people who live in this country are Filipino origin, and it is growing quickly. We're pleased to hear and to say. But today, of course, is, as I said earlier, much more than just about signing agreements. It's about strengthening trust between two nations. As I mentioned to the Secretary, Canada is simply delighted to be able to work with the Philippines as closely as we are, a country that says what it means and means what it says. It's about deepening a partnership that advances peace and security and stability across the Indo-Pacific. And it's about ensuring that Canada and the Philippines are prepared to meet the challenges of the future together. Secretary Teodoro, thank you. Thank you so much for your friendship, your leadership, your partnership. Thank you for making such a long trip to come and see us here in Ottawa. It's an honor to receive you, the first ever Secretary of Defense to come to Canada from the Philippines. We look forward to continuing our work together in the years ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Minister McGuinty. And first of all, let me express our deep appreciation and gratitude for your expression on behalf of the Government of Canada of sympathy for those who were affected by this last earthquake in southern Philippines, where lives were lost and lives need to be rebuilt and places need to be rebuilt. And naturally, with your support and with the resilience of the Filipinos, we shall rebuild. And I'm honored to be the first Secretary of National Defense to pay an official visit to Canada, not without reason, because it is a return visit for the honor of having Minister McGuinty come to the Philippines and sign our Status of Visiting Forces Agreement. Today, we have signed a statement on intent on strengthening defense cooperation and the Mutual Logistics Support Agreement, which puts teeth to the Status of Visiting Forces Agreement. And as Minister McGuinty had just said, that this Status of Visiting Forces Agreement is an expression and an exercise of interoperability, of building trust and confidence between our defense systems and our armed forces, because we need to underpin our strong and robust ties for more economic activities, for more secure people-to-people exchanges, for more interaction between both our countries, and we need this in order to uphold, being maritime countries, the ever-important UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. And it is also significant to note that we are coming on the 10th anniversary of the arbitral award, which the Philippines won, and which had as a guiding precept that UNCLOS reigns supreme when it comes to determining maritime rights, and particularly for the Philippines, archipelagic rights, and the definition and the limitation of an archipelagic country, of which the Philippines is one in five, of five rather. Moving forward, there is a lot of work that we both will be doing bilaterally and multilaterally in cybersecurity, in training exchanges, more multilateral and bilateral maritime cooperative activities and exercises. And we have more agreements to enter into, like the information sharing agreement, which is all important to underpin our bilateral working relations. And we see this as a microcosm of the whole Canada-Philippines relationship, where we will be entering into partnerships for critical infrastructure, for critical minerals, for energy, for businesses to thrive, for industry to thrive, for telecommunications. And we are here as Defense Secretary and Minister to underpin the mutuality of activities, exchange of goods, services, freely and safely in the maritime domain and in other domains under a cladding of security, of which is a sine qua non in today's volatile world. Although we must stress that we work together, propounding international norms for a free and open Indo-Pacific and under the basis of the rule of law, particularly, as we said, UNCLOS. So, Minister McGuinty, and to the Canadian government, thank you very much for receiving us. This is but the second step towards a robust defense relationship. We look forward to deeper and more purposive exchanges rapidly in the coming days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lovely.
Thank you. Thank you both for that. We will now turn to questions. On va maintenant prendre les questions du média. Il y a du média en ligne. There's media online. We'll start. Please use the raise hand function if you have a question for the Minister or the Secretary. Is this working? Oh, yes. First question from Kyle Dugan at Canadian Press. Go ahead, Kyle.
Hi, Minister. Thank you for taking our questions.
Yes, they can. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. I have a question for you about Bill C-11. Some sexual assault survivors have told me that they don't understand why you're not open to them choosing which justice system that victims would be able to take their case to. So could you just articulate why the government removed the opposition amendments that added the choice provision on sexual misconduct cases, and why you remain opposed to that idea?
Thanks for the question, Kyle. You'll recall that the recommendation to remove the investigation and prosecution of criminal code sexual offenses from the Canadian Armed Forces legal system and to place those instead into the civilian system was a recommendation that came from previously Madame Justice Arbour's Commission of Inquiry. It was in fact the 48th of 48 recommendations that we were moving to implement. The 47 preceding recommendations were implemented. This is the only one that required this kind of regulatory or legal step. We believe that this is going to contribute to helping to build trust and to promote confidence for people who are serving in the armed forces, for those who we're recruiting. As you know, Kyle, our applications from last year over year, are up 61%. Our intake is up 13%. We're on the move in terms of recruiting and retaining, and this is a big part of the cultural challenges we've been seeking to address as a government. And so we're moving forward with the strong recommendation from Madame Justice Arbour. And of course, this recommendation was not pulled out of thin air. It came from hundreds of hours, thousands of hours even, of testimony and hundreds of witnesses and 14,000 members of the Canadian Armed Forces who were surveyed previous to the recommendation being drafted by Madame Justice Arbour at the time, now the Governor General of Canada. So we wanted to maintain the integrity of the recommendation. We believe it's the right next step.
And could you explain why you're following it to the letter? So, like, is it a box-ticking exercise, or do you fundamentally not trust the military justice system at all to handle the issue?
Well, I think Madame Justice Arbour at the time was very clear about the importance of recognizing that there is difficulty in the prosecution, the investigation and prosecution of these types of sexual offenses in a very, strong chain of command system. And it was her view and our view. We ran on this. We were clear in our platform It's something that we believe is important to increase, as I say, trust and confidence in the system. And many hundreds of victims, of course, came forward and testified at the Commission of Inquiry. And as I say, 14,000 members of the Canadian Armed Forces were surveyed. And the evidence at the time coming from our now Chief of Defence Staff, General Kettinghill, was that this was an important step, a whole step to take these prosecutions outside the forces into the civilian system. We're confident this is going to help deal with the continuing challenges.
Thank you, Kyle. I don't see any other questions, so with that, we will wrap our press conference. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, tout le monde.
Okay.